Welcome to Mastering the Art of Real Estate. I'm your host, Debbi DiMaggio, and today we're here with Mala Sander, who works in the Hamptons, out in the beautiful Hamptons of New York. I'm so glad to have you on our show, Mala. It's our first podcast, and I would just like to welcome you and thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here.
Thank you. So I'm going to go into a brief bio of Mala so you can get to know her as much as I do. Mala Sanders started her real estate career over 20 years ago. She quickly rose to the top of her field, becoming the number one agent based out of Corcoran's Sag Harbor office within 3 years. She quickly built her business through market savvy, hard work, and strong client connections to her clients, colleagues, and community. Mala went on to found her own real estate team, the Mala Sander and team, which maintains its strong standing as the number one team on the east end of Long Island, servicing the east end from Hampton Bays to Montauk. That is very impressive. And I'm just in awe of you. I've been in the business 35 years and it's just so fun. One of my favorite things about real estate is doing just this, talking to other agents and watching what they do. And Mala and I were on a panel together in Nashville last year. That's where we had the opportunity to meet. We were the two of six of us, and I was just really in awe about what you presented, which was on your amazing reels and marketing and stories. And one of the things that really caught my attention was that you're very, very consistent. So before we get into that, I want to start from the beginning. Can you tell us, Mala, how you got started in real estate? Because I've read your longer bio, and it's been a long run, and now you are doing real estate and have been doing it for a while. But please tell
Yeah,
us.
this is actually my second career. I spent 20 years at IBM before this. I retired from IBM after buying my first house in the Hamptons and discovered what a beautiful, phenomenal place this is to live. And that's long before, sort of people started making it their full time home. It was like really sleepy town in the winter months. And I just said, okay, I'm going to leave IBM and live out there full time with my husband. And we were sort of empty nesters at the time, and we could do it. So we did. And then I started getting involved with the community. And then in my community involvements, I wound up meeting somebody who was a founding partner of a very small boutique real estate company here. And he said, well, you've got sales and marketing background, you've got it in your bones, and you're trying to do it on a volunteer basis here for this charity that I was working with at the time. And he said, why don't you do it and make some money at it? And I was like, oh, okay. What do you mean? And he said, well, come work for me in the real estate business. And I was like, oh, I don't think I want to be a real estate broker. I don't know. And so he said, what do you have to lose? He said, if you don't like it, don't do it. I said, okay. So I started, and that was it. I was hooked. I was
That is
hooked.
incredible. That is so that and then that is so true what you say about when real estate agents, for the most part, we're passionate, we're dedicated, we love helping people, and you were doing that. You were actually doing charity work, and you were doing something that you enjoyed, and you were helping others. And I could totally see how that happened and how your mentor got you to go into real estate, and how impressive it wasn't even your idea. He got you into real estate, and you not only didn't stop, you rose to the top. So that's just really
Yeah, it
incredible.
was it was I remember having lunch with him one day, like a couple of weeks in, and saying, I don't think this is for me. I don't know. And he's like, it takes more than a week, Mala. So I was like, and then sure enough, I really realized that, look, I'm selling a product like I was at IBM. I had sales and marketing teams work for me there, and I knew how to do the sales and marketing thing. So I'm selling a product, and I'm solving a problem, and I am building a loyal base and building a brand. So that's what I said to myself, and that's what I set out to do. And
And
in a way that was like really different at the time. I was I came into the field when there was like literally no internet in our business. There was internet, it was fledgling, right? We had books of listings, and then we had a DOS based computer that was like all, green screen, black and white, whatever. And it was all, text. There was no, and you could search on a listing, or you could page through. Basically, it was paging through listings on a computer, but there was no visual, there was nothing. So I came with my branding and marketing background, and I started putting together show sheets with photos and descriptions and things in bold and underlined and really nice looking brochures for properties. And people were like, whoa, 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 what are you doing? And I said, and I would take those brochures and I would put them on the desks of other agents in other offices. And I say, you have to come and look at my listing. You have to come and sell my listing. Here it is. This is what it looks like. Nobody had a way to see what anything looked like before, because it was all this black and white screen search stuff. So it was kind of fun being like, saying, hey, let's up our game here. And
You
that's
are
what
the
we've always
pioneer,
done.
clearly. I mean, everyone must know your name in the Hamptons. You're clearly the pioneer of marketing in your area. It sounds like. I mean, there were no brochures at the time, and you just took all your experience from IBM, and you already had a huge foundation. Plus your passion for helping others. That's incredible. What an incredible story. You think you know someone, and then you go back and you get to hear these great stories.
Yeah,
That,
there was all that.
yeah, I do remember we didn't have email at the time or the internet. That really dates us.
Yeah.
um, okay, can you share with us one of your most memorable experiences as a real estate agent and how it impacted your career?
One of my most memorable experiences would, well, had to be my first sale, right? I mean, so I came into this business. I'm brand new in the business, and I had left that job at IBM, and I left with, my nice little sports car that I was driving around in. And as a reward for my retirement from IBM, I bought myself this great car, this that I barely knew how to drive because it was a standard, but wasn't used. So anyway, so I get in the car with one of my clients, and I'm driving him around, and he's like, "That's the house I want." And I was like, "Okay, let's see, and I'll see about getting you in." Well, it turned out that the listing agent made it impossible for us to get in to see that house, and we'd take many tours of that little block in my little sports car, and I was getting the practice of driving the standard shift and all that. And the guy finally said to me, and this was many tours in like a day and a half, it wasn't like a long time. And he said, "Okay, they're not going to let us in." He said, "Fine, I'll buy it. Then they'll have to let me in." And I said, "What do you mean you're going to buy it?" And he said, "Yeah, I don't need to get in. I'll just buy the house." So to me, that was like a lights on moment that, wait a minute, people are buying things sight unseen. And this is before, they do it now on FaceTime and all that stuff. But before COVID, obviously, this was 2001. And I was probably 9 months, or no, 6 months into the business. And it was my first sale. And I learned so much at that moment. And it was $265,000.
Oh my God. That is the most incredible story I've ever heard. So, question. So, we know things are different now. There's no contingencies oftentimes. So he wrote I mean, I can't believe 6 months and he wrote it sight unseen. So did you guys have contingencies? Was there loan or home inspection or anything or nothing? He just it was like, I'm buying it and there's no contingency.
Yeah, there was no loan, and actually he was a builder, so I mean
Oh,
he wasn't worried about the innards of the house at all. So he just said, "Yeah, I'll take it, whatever it is, I'll fix it." It was
and
kind of similar. What?
where was that in the Hamptons? Where were you? What was that?
In Sag Harbor,
Oh
right
my
here,
God.
right here.
265,000, did you say?
Yeah,
That is
200.
Oh my God, that is incredible. And
Yeah.
is he still around today, this client? Have you,
Sadly, no.
no,
He has since left us.
yes.
But but he's a great guy, and I really enjoyed working with him when he was around. But
Is that you will have deals that I mean, I guess you're in a lot of it is a vacation area. Do you have a lot of people buying um, through FaceTime or, buying, from without seeing the property? Is that common with
So,
you?
very funny story. We did have a situation during COVID where we weren't really allowed to get into properties. If you remember, we weren't allowed to show properties. And I had listed this. Let's fast forward. This is now 20 years later or 18 years later. I had listed this property for I was going to say 9.5 million. And this couple was really into the location, really loved the property. We gave them, I was doing actually, I was doing Instagram live open houses then. I would go into the house and I would just walk through the house, Instagram live open house, and a lot of brokers came and whatever. In this case, this client, not my client, another broker's client, wanted a FaceTime tour. We did the whole tour on FaceTime, inside, outside, upstairs, downstairs, basement, everything. They made a deal on the house. They went to contract on the house, and they bought the house. So,
Wow.
well, they went to contract on the house. It's a little funny story, but they went to contract on the house, and then they came out to see the house. In the meantime, the house had been rented. It was rented to a very strange family. So when we went in to see the house with the family, there were like there was underwear everywhere. There was naked women running around. There was like all kinds of stuff going on. So they took a big pause, and then they said, we can't. I mean, the tenants had basically, the house was not in great shape, and then they took a pause, and subsequently we sold them something else, but they did not buy that house. And but we
Wow.
have sold other houses. We have sold other houses on FaceTime with a walkthrough the day before, and it's done. $5 million, $3 million. Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, that's amazing. That is so great.
And
And
rentals happen all the time, sight unseen,
yeah,
right?
and I could say because it's so international, people come from all over and
Mhm.
for a vacation or a wedding or for a couple months. And if you know the area a little bit, then I guess it's not so hard. But um, it's different than where we are in a more of a family environment where people are looking for their long-term family home. But that is just incredible. I mean, the houses in the Hamptons are just so beautiful. It's that would be a dream to sell there. It's so wonderful. Oh my God, I could talk to you forever on your stories. What are some key qualities or skills that you believe are essential for a real estate agent to be successful in today's competitive market? Because now there are so many realtors. I'm sure it's a little different than when you started, or maybe not, but I bet it seems like after COVID, correct me if I'm wrong, that more people did move out to the Hamptons full time. Is that correct?
Yeah, because what happened, I think, was during COVID, the New York City real estate market really went quiet, and it was hard to sell in the city. So, and then people wanted to be out of the city anyway. They wanted to be in a fresh air environment like out here. So it was, well, why not sell out there while we're out there since nothing's happening in our own market? So yeah, a lot of people did come out, and they still keep their sort of fingers in the pie, if you will, but. I think that the trend is really for the brokers. You know how it is. The brokers that know their market, and the brokers that are in the market, that know the market, that really can react on a dime when something comes on that's interesting for their buyers, or if they know of something that's not even on market for their buyers, and and that happens because you're knowledgeable in your market. So I think that all of those other people that are from other markets and trying to like get in, it makes it very difficult for them. So the number one quality, I think, for any agent that's trying to be successful in this business is you have to have market knowledge. I mean, that is number one. You have to be smart about what's happening in your market. You have to be smart about the inventory, how to get it, and how to sell it. Those are the things. And it's, it's not, and it's none of this is by luck. It's hard work. It's 24/7. We do this 24/7. If we're not talking to clients, we're reading about our market, we're looking at properties, we're getting ready, we're doing, so it's really about being knowledgeable, and that's 24/7 work. It's hard work. But also, one of the things that I think is super important to success in this business is ethics, integrity, honesty. Not just with your clients, but also with other colleagues. I think it's important to deal ethically with the other brokers, because when I first joined this business, somebody told me, listen, buyers and sellers, they come and go, but we are all in this game for the long haul, and we are all here together, and we're going to see each other around the track. So let's make sure that we have a reputation and integrity where people feel comfortable dealing with us. That means they're going to entrust you with information. That means you can trust them with information, and it's good for everybody all around, including the clients that are benefiting from our common pool of information. So I think that's another very important thing. And then I think, yeah, two more things. I think one is to understand a lot of times that it's a business of no's. You're going to get a lot of no's. No, I don't like this. No, that house isn't for me. No, 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 no. It's how to get to yes that makes or breaks you. I think it's how to get to yes. And it's like, and that means hearing what they're not saying as much as you're hearing what they are saying. So then you can really get, under the skin of what they're hoping to find, or why they're hoping to sell, or what their motives are, or whatever. If you can get under the skin of all that, you can make it happen. You can solve that problem. You can get the answer. You can get to the next phase, whatever that phase is, buy, sell, rent, whatever it is. So,
That's
and then,
a good one. I like that one. That's a really good one. I mean, integrity, 100%. I mean, everything you've said is great, exactly. But that's a good one. I've never really, I write a lot, and I have the no's. That's a good one. And getting to yes, I haven't heard that one a lot, and but it's 100% true. So sorry to interrupt you. That was great,
no,
though.
no, no. I'm glad you like it. I tell the people that join my team that all the time. I mean, it can be super frustrating. You just open houses, they're not buying. Like da, 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 da. It's you're building your base, you're building your inventory, you're building your understanding, you're building yourself up, and you're going to get there. You're going to get there. And then the last thing that I think is so important is you got to have a sense of humor. You got to
Yes.
you got to laugh. I mean, we've got tons of crazy stories. I mean, you know, naked ladies running all over our house or opening a door, and there's like, oh my God,
That's
like all kinds of like stuff hanging from the ceilings, like 50 Shades of Grey or whatever's going on. Like, you've got to have a sense of humor about it all. The people that text you at 2 in the morning with some sort of crazy, blah, 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 blah. It's just, you just have to laugh sometimes.
that is
And
100% true.
yeah, and if you
If
can
if
laugh,
you
you're
get
going to
too
keep your
serious,
sanity long.
I mean, you just have to laugh, because if not, I mean, you just can't. The one about the people being naked, that's a first. I haven't walked in on anyone being naked, but definitely I could see why the people decided to not, to forego that house. Um, in your opinion, what are some common misconceptions that people have about the real estate industry, and how would you debunk them? People think that real estate agents, oh, you make a lot of money, you don't work very hard, you take long lunches. It's like, are you kidding? We're 24/7, and when we're sleeping, we're still thinking about real estate or our clients or how we can help them, or all the millions of things that we're always thinking about. Is it going to rain today on my photo shoot in a couple hours? It's like,
Yeah.
can we control the weather? Can we control this? Can we control that? No, we can't. So how do what are some common misconceptions that you have about the real estate industry?
The things that I've heard maybe about the real estate industry, yeah, I think you said basically the biggest one, which is, this is a cakewalk, and you walk in and you sell all these houses, and it just sort of happens. It doesn't just sort of happen, and you can't expect every agent to turn in the same kind of results as the agent that's a full-time agent that really understands that market. Um, that's another thing. It's like, oh, I know, I'll list with my friend because it's my friend and I don't want to piss them off. Well, this is your biggest asset. I think what every agent isn't the same. Every agent isn't going to be able to do the same job. And even if an agent tells you that your house is worth this much and another agent says it's worth this much, you have to look at the likelihood of what the reality is in the market and who's going to get it done with the stronger negotiating skills and the stronger market and all of that. So I'm sorry, I said a lot there, but I think number one, it's not a cakewalk. And I think number two, not every agent is the same. And I also think number three, it comes back to the integrity part. If somebody, you know, real estate agents do have honesty and integrity. And if you're feeling like you're dealing with someone that doesn't, well, maybe they don't. Maybe you should find somebody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that is so important. It's yes, we are not all created equally, and it's really important that the agent is yes. I mean, if it's your sister or your family member and your best friend, but if they haven't been in the business and they don't know, they should, if you want to use them, have them partner up with, someone
Have
who
them
knows
partner up. Exactly.
this.
Exactly.
So much can go wrong and people don't realize that. They just have no
Yeah.
idea all the little things that I got a call from an agent the other day, and I don't mind helping other agents even if it's not my listing. It's just sure I'll answer. So this agent called me with a bunch of questions about ordinances, and so it was a long list I couldn't believe, but it was early in the morning. So I just texted her back and there was so much packed in there. I even told her where to reference the part of the contract. And I was thinking, how is she going to do this? There are so many ordinances that I just put into a text message and referenced all these different contracts and disclosures. And I
Right.
mean, if I got an email like that, I would be calling me up and saying, please co-list this with me because
So, yeah.
our our business is so litigious and you've got to get it right because so much could happen. So yeah, there's a lot we have to know, and there's a lot to learn.
Definitely a lot of knowledge base that's needed, not just market, but also local ordinances, as you mentioned, and what could go wrong and what can be built and what can't be torn down and there's a lot of things that you really need to know.
Yeah, it's
But
not like I could get in from California into your market and try to do it. I mean, there's just so many things. It's so different there than here. And yeah, it's just amazing that we do have to know a lot. Or I always say to our agents, because we have 80 agents that we oversee, and I always say, if you don't know the answer yet, ask. We will help you. So you don't, something doesn't happen, but you can always find the answer, but sometimes people don't know what they don't know, right?
right, exactly. Well, that's the challenge. That's the tricky part. And then one of the other, my favorite misconception about the real estate agents is that being a real estate broker is such a flexible job. And it's like you can work when you want to work and you don't have to work when you don't want to work. Well, I think it's flexible for our clients. Our clients are the ones that get the flexibility because they say, I'm coming out tomorrow and I want to look at blah, blah, blah. What are you going to do? What do? You make it happen. Right. So there
You're
goes
right.
my hair treatment. There goes my massage. There goes all the lazy daisy things I was planning all day. They all go, which were
Exactly.
none, but yeah.
Yeah. And some people, I think too, when I'm in LA and I'm out on tour and you see all the different agents in LA and half of them look like their models or actors and they're dressed up for tour and I'm in real estate.
Yeah.
Real estate is a full-time job. And I definitely don't, I encourage people to get into it if they want to, but they have to work hard. They have to be passionate and you're kind of unemployed till your next deal, right? I don't mean that negatively, but we are unemployed until the next home we sell. And, we don't have benefits and everything that someone would in a typical job, but it's hard work and it's fun and I love it. as you do. But yeah, it's definitely full time. Okay, let me move on. How do you stay motivated and handle the inevitable challenges and setbacks that come with being a real estate agent?
Some days that can be really, really tough. If you have, a day where you had like three deals tank at the same time, or something like that, which luckily doesn't happen a lot. But no, I think you have to believe in yourself. You have to know that you know. You have to know that you're good at what you do. And you have to know that, tomorrow's another day and you learn from your mistakes. Success is paved, the road to success is paved with mistakes that are well purposed, right? So you learn from your
Exactly.
mistakes, and that's where I stay motivated. If something goes wrong, if something goes south, I just know that I'm good. I know what I bring to the table. I know what my skill set is, and I know that people are going to buy and sell real estate with me another day.
Yeah, no, it's so true. I mean, and every day, every time you're working on a deal with a client, I always want it to be perfect. I want to make sure, I'm doing everything I can. It's not like it continues. You always are continuing to improve, is what I'm saying. You're always, every time you want to get better, even after 35 years, I always want to get better. I always want to hone in on whether it's my marketing or showcasing a home or, whatever it is. It's just every day you can learn something. And that's what I love about real estate too, because every day is kind of different. You never know what's going to happen, right? We don't know today what will happen, what our obstacle will be, what's going to happen between whether we're making an offer or getting a counter offer, or how the negotiation is going to go. So it makes it kind of interesting that it is always different. um,
Yeah, we don't know what obstacles there are going to be, and we don't know what opportunities there are going to be, right? I
exactly.
mean, to a certain point, you have to make your own opportunities happen, also, but also the phone could ring and somebody could say, hey, I'm looking to buy XYZ, and you have to be
Yeah.
ready if you know your market. Boom.
And back to your knowledge, exactly.
Yeah.
So I love your marketing, and that's what, when I first met you and saw your Instagram reels and your stories, and again, it's, we're, so much comes at us with technology. We get called every day about marketing, buy this product, buy this, let me, you know, they're hitting us up all the time. Realtors are getting hit up all the time. And there's so many different apps and so many different types of, marketing apps and photograph apps and video apps. And you have, I don't know how you do it. So I thought maybe if you would share how you got started in doing these beautiful reels that you do. Well, you do have beautiful inventory, so that helps. And you're consistent. Do you do it twice a week? How often do you film these beautiful videos? And are you using a certain app? And do you have a team of people? But it's a really beautiful quality production that you put out on your reels and your stories. And I'd love for you to share that with our guests.
Thank you. So I'll back up to how I got started. Again, being marketing, branding, visual, promotions kind of a person. Early on, I discovered, I'm just talking way back when Facebook first opened up to non-college users. I jumped on Facebook like right away, and it wasn't the thing that it is now, which is also almost past. But I jumped on social media very quickly because I realized this is a self-selected audience. In other words, people are looking at me and what I have to say because they're interested in me and what I have to say. So now, what do I want to say? And all my friends that were like my peers and whatever, are not necessarily in the business or whatever. And even a lot of people in the business were like, oh, I'm not going to be on Facebook. I don't want everybody to know what I'm doing. I don't want everybody to know where I'm going. I don't want everybody to know. I'm like, okay, that's easy. Don't tell. You don't have to use it for that. You can use it for other things, right? right? So quickly built a following on social, and then realized that once I started to string together like little stills of my listing photographs, realized that there were tools out there that I could use. Now had Instagram had come along, and whatever. There were tools that I could use to string together these and make little fun videos with text, right? So it would be stills, and that I would string together. They would, open, close, twirl, swirl, come in all different ways, and it would be like different things. It'd be like three bedrooms, and it would be like, it would show the three bedrooms, and it would be like, here's the living room or here's the kitchen, and things would swirl in and out, and it would be very catchy and catchy music and all that. That was a tool called Animoto, which I think is probably still around. And a lot, and it's similar to, like, I guess, Canva and some other things. But I started with Animoto and I started doing it myself. And then I quickly realized that just those stills, like, taped together, it was like real video was going to be more interesting for people to watch. And I also realized that this was more than a full-time job for somebody with the volume of listings that I do. I said, okay, I need to get some help here. And so I started interviewing agencies to help me with my marketing. And then I said, you know what? I think that I can hire somebody to do this and they can do other things besides just that marketing for me and six other brokers. I wanted somebody that was mine full time. So doing the photography, doing the videos, and now shooting videos. We have a professional photographer or photographers that we use. And my marketing director is Maxwell Labadie. He used to be out in California, actually, and he has been working with me now, I think, for a year and a half. And we drive content through. We shoot the videos when we have a new listing. We'll shoot stills, we'll shoot video without me in it, we'll shoot video with me in it, and we'll have the team come into a listing and we'll shoot different content in different listings, about how to buy, how to sell, how to rent. What are the top three things that you should be thinking about when you're doing all those things. So we do a lot of video shoots on site, and that's how we do it. And I don't know what tools Maxwell uses now. I can find out for you, but yeah, I have somebody full time. It's a full time job.
It is
I
a
mean,
full-time job. Beautiful. And you also have all these, you have drone tours in. So does he also do the drone footage
our
when he's doing?
photographers do the drone footage.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
beautiful. So we have
So
one
we'll
minute
get
to,
a whole bunch of clips, and he'll snip and edit and do shorter versions, and yeah,
so he puts
it's
all that
great.
together. You'll go out to shoot together and then he'll do all of the content and stringing it together and posting it.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll
Yeah.
say, let's do a thing about this or let's do a thing about that, and then he'll realize my vision.
Right, right. Well, it's beautiful. And how often do you do this during the week?
Um,
Like once a week, or do you have a system, or just whenever you want?
you mean how often do we post?
Yeah. Or how often do you create the content? Like how often do you shoot? Because you have to take a day to do that, right? It takes time
Yeah, well, when we get a new listing, we make the time, we make it happen.
and do it for
Yeah,
that.
and so I mean, I wouldn't say it's once a week. I would say it's maybe 3 or 4 times a month, but not necessarily once a week. It could be three videos in one day.
Okay. That's helpful because it looks like you're doing it all the time. And I'm like, how is
Yeah.
she finding the time to do that? So it's amazing. It's beautiful. So we're going to go to commercial break and then we'll come back and then we'll get all your information so people can connect with you.
Okay. All right.
Mike Zorich, a three-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a six-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2/3, and 2/4. He also won the Veterans Folk-Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. Nancy Zorich, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zorich has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk on the BBM Global Network. Dr. RC will share extraordinary resources and services that promote educational success, as well as making a difference in the lives of all social workers, as well as the lives of children, adolescents, and teens of today. She will have open discussions addressing many of the issues that we face about our youth and how being employed in the uniquely skilled profession of social work for over 18 years has taught invaluable lessons through her personal experiences. She will also provide real-life facts, examples, and personal stories that will confirm that why serving as a child advocate is extremely beneficial when addressing the needs of the whole child. Listen live to Dare to Soar, Saturdays 10 a.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network, and tune in radio as Dr. RC will provide thought-provoking information that will empower, encourage, and strengthen students, families, and communities across our nation. You can also visit her at soarwithkatie.com.
Thank you, and welcome back to Mastering the Art of Real Estate. Now, I thought we'd take the next half of the show because I love to hear stories, and I think our audience would like to hear stories. So I thought you could share a few of yours. It could be difficult stories, maybe do one difficult transaction and one really fabulous transaction, or how you overcame something. And maybe if you could, I mean, you live in the Hamptons, so there's a lot of celebrity. So, and I know there's probably some non-disclosure, but if there's something that you could share on the celebrity angle too, I think those would be some fun stories to hear and educate the audience and entertain them as well.
Sure. So in terms of celebrities, one of my favorite stories was dealing with well, I can't really name drop, can I? Like, I don't know. Let's just say dealing with a Hall of Fame football player who in the days before the real internet, right when the internet was just starting, and he called me on a piece of land that I had listed in Bridgehampton, and he used this name that I just like didn't recognize, and I started asking him all these questions, and I said, well, so you want this piece of property? And I started really qualifying what he was hoping to find and all this. And I said, and so you want, I said, okay, well, I think I got what you're looking for. This is not the right property for you, but let me get back to you with some other options. And what did you say your name was again? And he told me, and he spelled it out, and he said, this is a great story. My name is Norman. And I was like, Norman. He said, yeah, Norman Esiason. And I was like, okay, fine. And I said, well, Norman, what's your phone number? And he gave me this phone number. And I said, that's a funny area code. You're not from here. Where are you from? He goes, that's from Cincinnati. I'm in Cincinnati. I said, oh, okay. You're moving out here? No, no, no. I'm already out here, but I kept my Cincinnati number because I used to work in Cincinnati. Oh, okay, fine. Well, Norman, I go home to my husband. I say, Norman Esiason. Does that ring a bell? And my husband's like, yeah, that's Boomer Esiason. Have you heard of him? I'm like, yes, I have. And so we went shopping, and it was one of the first times I realized that when people say they're looking for X, Y, and Z, and you take them out and you take them out and you take them out and you can't find it, they need to build it. So I changed gears, and I showed them a teardown house, and boom, they bought it because they could build what they wanted, and it would take a little bit of time. but they realized they couldn't find what they wanted. So, and then that was like a very fast, done, done, done.
Wow.
And
That's,
then, yeah, then
I've
there are
had,
the,
same thing with the sports when I've worked with athletes, and I said, I can't get a call back from this guy. He really wanted the property. Now I'm not hearing back. And so I asked Adam, I said, what's going on? And he said, oh, he got cut. He got cut from,
oh,
it was, yep, he wasn't, going to be buying that house. But yeah, celebrity stories are interesting.
yeah, I mean that happens. I had that happen with somebody that's also a big name television show kind of person, and they were coming out to look, and I guess their agent is the one that had reached out to me, and they all of a sudden weren't coming out to look, and I said, well, are they going to reschedule? And he said, I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you. And then of course I read that there was some rehab situation or whatever there was, axed from the show, whatever. So it's
I've
it's
gone to Twitter to find out, what's going on in the, it's like, okay, I can't figure out what's going on with him, and you go to Twitter and
mhm,
you're like, so and so is cut. So super interesting.
yeah.
So share another story with us.
Um, okay, tell me what you want to hear. So tell me.
So it could be like something that was really great and heartfelt, or one of your favorite deals, or something that was difficult, or um, you know, a lot of us haven't bought and sold in the Hamptons, and you probably work with just a range of people from all over the world. I mean, do you get people that are coming in from Italy or Europe to buy, or who is it really just mostly the people coming in from New York? I guess, who's your clientele? Who is the majority of people who do buy in the Hamptons? And then maybe that will spur you to a story that you might.
Well, we do have clients from all over. I do have, I sold a house in Sag Harbor to a couple from Italy that basically they stood outside, they called on the sign. The house had been on the market for probably 3 or 4 days, and they stood outside, they called on the sign, they said, we have to have this house, and they bought it. And it's a big name Italian family. They bought the house. The house was a complete redo. It needed to be completely redone. And they stood outside and said, have to have it. Similar to my $265,000 buyer, my first buyer, this was a very different price point, but they didn't even feel like they needed to get in the house. They just had to have the house. Of course, they did see it. And of course, they did, in that case, have a home inspection. But they're like, can we get in? Can we get in now? We want to buy this house. Like, okay. So
Special.
that was kind of fun.
Yeah, that's a great story. What was so special about that house? Just curious on, why that house? Had they been looking? And, it's like, what makes people want? I'm always curious, like, why they have to have that house. And they were clearly adamant about that house.
Yeah, they were adamant about, well, there's a very limited supply of historic homes in a historic village that are of a certain size that can accommodate a family of, say 3 or 5 or whatever kids. And so it was the size of the house, the size of the
Okay.
property, its location on, Captain's Row in Sag Harbor. And they basically, yeah, they just had to have the house. So, um, and then their agent wasn't with them at the time. So, and they didn't tell me they had another agent, but I took them through the house, and they came through, and then they said, oh, and our agent is going to meet us here in about 15 minutes. I said, oh, okay, no worries. But it didn't matter. We made the deal. It was fine. It was great. I was
Want to
just so
sell?
happy, happy
Yeah,
for my sellers and happy for them. They got their dream house.
exactly. No, whatever it takes to get our houses sold for our clients, for sure. It's
Mhm.
like, if you have an agent, bring them on in. Let's get it done.
Yeah.
Um, and any other, like, how about a difficult story, a difficult transaction, something that, our guests can learn from or hear, it's not, I mean, because obviously in marketing, we're showing all our beautiful listings, but there's so many stories that go behind the listing, there's beautiful homes, but behind it, it doesn't always go super smooth, because it's emotional, it's a big asset, people are buying a big asset, selling a big asset, There's just a lot of emotion that goes behind it. So um,
Yeah, I
anything that
mean, I had at one time I had taken on a listing. It was a woman who had lost her husband, and she put this house on the market, and very quickly we made a deal. Again, not my buyer, but it's my listing. We made a deal, and the woman couldn't get clear title. There was, I guess, the husband had left with many liens on the property, and they couldn't get clear title. The buyer hung in, and we kept trying with the title company, kept trying with the attorneys, kept trying. They kept, negotiating back and forth, and so sometimes a deal can just tank just like that because there's all the I's are not dotted and all the T's are not crossed, even when you think they are. So that was a notoriously difficult one that we're still trying to maybe resolve. But I think it's been probably one of my most heartbreaking ones because I felt
right.
so badly for her because she really wanted to move things along. But she has the right team in place. We'll get there, but it's a process. And then when people are buying land and the land is being sold with plans and permits. So this happened where I had my buyer was looking at a piece of waterfront property, and the waterfront property was marketed with shovel ready, meaning you can buy this and break ground within weeks of buying it. But it turned out that the plants that they were selling, and so we made a deal. There was another offer. My buyers came in, higher offer. They were very excited about this property, and they all of a sudden realized, hey, let me talk to the architect. Let me talk to this. Let me find this out. 2 weeks they took they hadn't signed the contract. 2 weeks they took to do their due diligence, and they found out that in fact what was being sold was not actually what was being sold. Right? Those plans were not viable. They were no longer, they were not even construction drawings. There was this, there was that. So it's like getting underneath the land deals can be very complicated, and a lot of lessons to be learned there. Um,
Yeah, I can't imagine because there it's flat pretty much everywhere, right? It's flat, and we live in the hills, and I can't even. I mean, with a level lot, I'm sure it has its own issues, but in the hills here, I don't deal in development here, and I just can't landslides and all the different things
it's
that
got
can
to be so
happen.
difficult. Oh my God, I saw those landslides in Downer Point.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's crazy. So I was walking in Southampton about 6 months ago, and we don't routinely have houses torn down here. People take an old house and refurbish it and refurbish it and refurbish it. But I was just in awe. I was walking down in Southampton, and I literally was watching this house being torn down, and it was so crazy to just watch. I felt like I was watching a movie set, and it was like, and it was kind of an old house, like an old TV show, like on Mayberry or something. And it was, you can see the curtains were still there, and it was just being taken down. I went to the beach and I came back, and more of the house was being taken down. It's so interesting to see. But are there a lot of houses that are torn down and rebuilt?
So yes, all the time. Not in the historic district; it's not done. But I remember one of the houses that I sold to a client. It was a 4-year-old house, 4 years old, and they had
Oh,
looked and looked and looked for a piece of waterfront to buy, and we had been looking for 2 years probably. And this particular house had been on the market. Maybe it was a 6-year-old house. This particular house had been on the market for 2 years or whatever at some price. Then it came down, and then it was off the market. Then it was on the market, whatever. They bought this 6-year-old house and took it right down. I mean,
six
it
years.
was yeah. I mean, everything was new. I mean, it was 6 years old from the ground up. They had just been designed by the owners. They put so much care into it. It had the Viking kitchen, the marble countertops. It had everything, and it wasn't what they wanted.
And I can't that. Just dumbfounded. And what, so, and it was nicely done. It wasn't like, was it a nice home that was rebuilt? I mean, built the 6-year-old home. Was it a nice home? Was it, I mean, it
It
sounded
was
like
like
white
it was
marble.
like
Like,
it was like I forget if it was 5 or 6,000 square feet. It was, 5 or 6 bedrooms. It was, yeah, it's a
and
nice house.
and
Shingle
what did they,
style.
what did they want that was so uniquely different that they couldn't do? Was it just a whole different floor plan and that's the location they wanted?
That's the location they wanted. They wanted a modern house. This was a traditional house.
Oh,
This didn't have the floor plan that suited them, and this property could accommodate a much larger house, and it could accommodate tennis, and it could accommodate, a lot of stuff. And we had looked for a while, and this was it. This was on the water, and they it was, they did well. It was a smart move. It was a smart move. They bought, a couple of acres on the water for $8 million. It wasn't a lot.
wow. And then did they add a pool and tennis court?
There was already a pool there, but that they ripped that out and put in their own new pool and the tennis court. And yeah, the house is now
Wow.
spectacular. It's been published. It's beautiful.
And now what is it worth today if they were to sell?
Well, now the same piece of land would be selling for uh, 17,
Yeah.
just the land. Yeah. So, and then there's the house, which is a very unique and beautiful house. And, so they did really well. I think they,
Yeah.
they made the smart move. So that's it. If you can't find what you want, you got to build it.
If they build it, if you build it, they will come or tear it down
Yeah.
and build
They
their
know
own.
tear it down. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. So tell us how we people could reach you if they want to come and buy or rent in the Hamptons. And also, before we go there, do you rent homes in the Hamptons as well for the summer or year round, or do you also do that as well?
Yes, my team handles rentals. Yes, absolutely. We handle rental listings. We handle rentals for tenants. Yeah, and yeah, in all formats. Um, but yeah, if you want to reach me, you can um, check out my website, malasander.com, MALASANDER.com. My phone number is 917-902-7654. That is my cell. Text is good, or you can find all my details on my website, and that's a great way to. If you want to email me, it's msander@corcoran.com, corcoran.com.
And one of the
And Debbie knows how to find me.
and I can connect you right to Mala. We met, as I mentioned, about 6 or 8 months ago, and I was one of the reasons why I love going to these conferences and meeting other agents is to network with other agents, but also to work on a referral basis. So a lot of agents, that's one of the things I try to encourage our agents to do is when you network with other agents, we're all colleagues. Some people think of agents as competitors, and it is couldn't be further from the truth. As listing agents, we both are. We want other agents to come see our listings, so we're very inclusive and very welcoming, and and just we want to work together. So it's so important. And when we meet people, like when Mal and I met, I had a referral for her in Southampton, of all places, all the way across the country, and so we just
You
closed a
never know.
deal last week, and I only met Mala and
Yay.
Pearl like a month later. So thank you for helping our client. I so appreciate it. She was appreciative, and you got a great price. You got a price higher than I think she even expected, and it was just a wonderful, smooth transaction. And that's why I always want to work with other like-minded agents like yourself. So I really appreciate you joining us today. It's been
Thank you.
wonderful, and I look forward to doing it again. And I look forward to coming out to the Hamptons and seeing you again and having dinner and going to a concert like we did this
Well, we have
last.
to do that. Yeah, that was fun. We did that the last summer.
Follow Mala on Instagram because she has a great Instagram, and she's I went to a restaurant based on her Instagram. So it works. Everything you're doing is
Thank
working. Thank you so
good.
much. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it today.
Take care.
Thank you for joining Mastering the Art of Real Estate. So excited that you joined us today on my first live podcast. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I'm always happy to answer your real estate questions. Thank you.
Tune in each week for another episode of Mastering the Art of Real Estate with host Debbi DiMaggio. Here Fridays, noon Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network. Tune in to where real estate matters matter.